Alright guys, welcome back. On today's video, we're going to rebuild this old Marvel-Schebler carburetor. This one's an 813. I might take a couple of pictures. I've got a couple more tractors up here that have Marvel carburetors on them, but they're different styles, and kind of put them in there as part of this in comparison. Actually, this is a done deal. I've already got it back together there. I was looking on the internet, and I said this at the end of the last video. I didn't feel like there's a lot of good content on there about rebuilding these carburetors, and there's like 1 million of them out there. So we're gonna do a rebuild on this one on this video, and the next video we'll get into the ignition and go through all that. So let's get started. All right, let's look at a couple of these carburetors and kind of compare them. First thing we're gonna look at is the bolt pattern on that. Some of these are a little bigger than the other ones. That one, center bolt is about 2 5/8. So we'll compare the one on the 8N and on the Jubilee up there and see how much different they are. And of course, we'll talk about this a few times through the video today. This is the idle air mixture screw, and this controls the air that's coming into the carburetor and that's coming down into the fuel tube that's coming up here. And they call this the power jet here, and that's basically controlling the fuel. So basically this is fuel control, that's air control, but this also is pretty much the setting for fuel and air for idle. That's your idle circuit. And this power circuit it's mixing the air that's where this is set coming in. It's mixing the air for your full throttle, on the governor kind of power for work. So that's the power, that's the idle. This is more air, this is more fuel. So that's kind of the setup of the carburetor in a nutshell. And we'll look at them other ones up there and see what the difference is on how they're set up. Also, this one's got the fuel bowl, sediment bowl here on the carburetor. Neither one of those other ones do. So let's go take a look at them. All right, so here's the next one we got. This one's also a Marvel-Schebler right here. This one it's just going to have the air jet here, and the fuel jet is going to be non-adjustable. It's just going to be a jet that is what it is, and you're mixing the air, so it doesn't have a power jet on it anywhere. Size-wise, though, I was a little surprised. I thought this one was going to be smaller, but it looks like it's also, well, it may be a little smaller. Let me get around here where I can read that. It's about 2 3/8 center to center. Well, that one was 2 5/8, so that one was just a hair wider than that one. And as you can see, the fuel comes into the side rail on this. It also has an opening right there, and the sediment bowl is on the tank over there. I actually prefer that. And this is a flathead and has the front mount distributor. So this one is either a 48 or 49 model. So let's go over here and look at this old Jubilee. All right, so this one here is on a 1954. I know 53 is actually the Jubilee year, but this may be called an NAA, but it's basically looks just like the Jubilee. It just doesn't have the golden Jubilee insignia on the front of it. And this one's not running. This will be a future video that we've got coming up. But anyway, this Marvel-Schebler carburetor is what we're here to look at. And this has got the power jet running down this way, which intersects that fuel tube that's coming up, and your air's here. So that's the 3 different type of carburetors, and but they're all Marvel-Schreblers. And so we had a 48, this is a 54, and the one in the shop in there is a 63. So more carburetors have been around for a long time, and the basic setup of them is going to be pretty much the same. So you can basically start with a 1 turn on both of these, and then go from there to adjust for how you really want your tractor to perform. And we'll go over that when we finally get this other one all up and running like we want it to. This one looks like it's about 2 1/2. So, and it's also got a slotted thing on the manifold there. So a different size one would actually fit on there. So it looks like we had what, 2 3/8, 2 1/2, and 2 5/8 on the bolt pattern. And so we'll talk a little bit more on the one we got in there about where to find your numbers for what carburetor you got or whatever. But that's the 3 types. That 8N we looked at would be the A, this one would be the B, and the one on the Ford 4000 will be the C type. So let's go get into this thing. All right, I think I got you set up here where you can kind of see what's going on with this carb remover. First thing, we'll take this little clamp off right here on the air intake side. I've already turned the fuel off on the other side over there, so we shouldn't have much drainage out of this right here. But I do have a pan sitting under it there to catch anything that we spill. I'm going to have to get this off here to show you how this works, because it's behind it, to disconnect those throttle linkages and stuff. Move you around here and get you a better shot of these linkages right here. So that little old ball that's on the carburetor sits inside that little housing right there, and that thing's spring loaded, so it kind of holds it on there. So you just pull that forward and it'll pop right off. And then when you go to put it back on there, you just pull it forward and stick it on that little old ball and let it back. And that little old thing right there clips on that ball and it holds it in place. So both of them, the choke and the throttle, is the same way. So there you have it. All right, so we got our carburetor out here. This is a Marvel-Schebler carburetor, TSX, and so there's 3 different kind of carburetors. We'll look at it here in a minute. This particular one is a 813, and on this one, the tag is right here, and it says TSX 813 right there. I don't know if you can see that or not. The carburetor actually has Marvel in it, stamped in it right there. Schebler on this side right here. So this is the model 813. So the idle jet is up here, and I've already got that loose. And they call this the power jet, which is your main fuel adjustment on the bottom. And so depending on what model you have, you may have a different setup. So they have a type A that has a fixed power jet, a type B that has the power jet on the top, which would come in. I have to actually have 2 tractors up there that have it this way. On those, the fuel comes in either here or here, and this has the power jet coming down this way into the thing that goes up into the venturi. So this one all comes straight in from the bottom. So that's the 3 types that we got, and this is the one we're looking at, and this is going to be our power jet assembly here instead of this setup that comes down from the top here. So already got this loose to kind of speed things up a little bit. So basically there's 4 screws in the top of that carburetor, and take those 4 screws out, and this top comes off, and you want to just kind of take it at an angle. Here's that let's see what they actually call that. It is a power or something. Get my terminology right on this. So 24A nozzle main, it says. So nozzle main type C, 24 right there. So it's just a nozzle that this jet will go into the bottom of it. Anyway, we'll look at the bottom here in a second. Let's look at the top right now. So right here, we're going to take this out. This is our air mixture screw that it's got a little spring on it. We'll just set that over there out of the way. And we'll flip this over right here. And let's see if I can turn this here where you can see. So this pin right here, I'll hold this with my thumb because it's got a spring on it. That pin right there holds this little clip and the little spring on the top of it right there, which holds your float on. Just kick that over out of the way. And this right here is what our valve that shuts the fuel off. And then this is that gasket that we had put on there before. And so this little venturi tube here is bigger on one side than it is on the other. So it'll go through that gasket this way. And so that needs to sit down in there so that when you flip it over, it falls down and that sits right in there. And so that has that closed off. So a couple other things to look at here. This open spot right here that's going into right here, which will actually sit right here. So when you have your choke on right here, it's still pulling air through this section right here around this venturi tube right here. So that sits together right there. And if you look down in there, you can see. So that's pulling air from around that. And right here is your air jet. And we'll go ahead and take this jet out right. Okay, just to clarify, that air jet on the top right there sits on this top air passage hole on the left. And the lower spot that I'm pointing at with my finger there will set over the lower air passage on the left bottom bowl there. And so that's how the air jet works, and the idle mixture goes through that airway for your idle mixture for your fuel, for air fuel. Come out of there. And this one right here, you will have to have, I've been using this big putty knife because I don't have a screwdriver fat enough, and the biggest, I've got some big ones and they really don't fit to get it loose, like it's already loose. You can obviously screw it out, but you need something that's got a big wide edge on it that'll fit in there to get that broke loose to start with. And it has a little gasket around it. And all this is pretty clean because we've had it apart here recently. We didn't put new, like this is not new. The needle here that shuts the fuel off is not new. So in this kit that we've got, and this has made a little difference, we'll have to look at it, but we've got new everything, new jets, so we're gonna replace everything in it. And so let's go ahead and get this out of the way. Set it down there, we can go ahead and get that out of the way. And I went ahead and took my big screwdriver there a minute ago and got those broke loose, even though I didn't take them out. So this has a little T on the top of that right there, and I'm going to put a T right there. Just one, so when I go to put that back together, I want to see that matching up right there. It's just one more way to keep up with what you're doing. So let me pull those screws out right quick. Get them out of there. Okay. Set that down right there. And we'll pull this out. And I think all this stuff was actually good on this carburetor. Usually if those are bad, I've saw them before just flopping in there, and so it'll suck air. You can see where this is wore right here. They'll start to suck air around there, and you'll start to run really lean. Our problem was not lean. We had an issue of being too rich, actually. So let me grab something to pull that out. So we got some packing material of some sort right here. Let's see what we got. Try not to damage that. We got some new stuff here, but still, I don't know. You can't always trust what you got, you know what I mean? Okay, so I think what that is that's that little brass. Okay, it's that little brass piece right here and a little rubber. Sorry. It's a little brass piece and a little rubber piece. And so we have a new brass piece and a new rubber piece. So we'll set those over there. Try to keep up with how we disassemble that and see what else we've got here. Looks like we've got like an O-ring. It's a little more than an O-ring. I don't really see that in our new stuff, so I will investigate that a little further. Okay, it looks like everything on that side. The other side is going to have, does that knock in or out? I'm going to say that knocks in. So let me turn around here and hit that, and I'll be right back. I'm gonna knock that out. I'll be right back. Okay, so I got me an Allen wrench and put it in there and just tapped it with a hammer, and it knocked that little piece loose. So right there's our little plug right there. Okay, now, well, I got a flashlight here somewhere. As far as jets in here, we've got two, if you can see right in there, right here, there's two air jets, one right on top of the other one. Try it this way. There you go. You can see those right there. Okay, and so off camera, I have blown through here, and you can stop up. Your jet goes right here. So if you stop up this hole and this hole and blow through here, it blows out those two holes there. So that's kind of your air passages right there. So I've done blew all those out, and I actually took a water pick like you clean your teeth with, and stuck it in there where it's blowing water, and held my finger over these two holes while I held that in there, and it'd blow water out there, which I did that outside. Blowing water everywhere. I would show you, but it's kind of a mess. So that's got that all stripped down, and we're ready to put it back together. And so what we've got left on this one then is we need to take, wrench here somewhere. Be right back. All right, I'm back, and I've got it out. So, I don't know if you can see that or not. But it was quite a process. So that thing's, this is what goes in there, right? And screws down in there. So that other one, to get it out, I had to drill it. And I started out with this ease out, which broke. So I drilled it a little bigger, went to this ease out, and managed to get it out. But I did heat this up, heated it up in here, sprayed it with WD-40, and sprayed WD-40 down the air hose that goes into this. So when this jet is sitting up in there, the fuel is coming in these holes right here, and the air comes in these holes right here, and it mixes in this tube and comes out in a mist that comes out right here. So I'll get that screwed in there in a minute. Anyway, it comes out right up through here and mists into that venturi. So I'll get that put back in there, and well, we'll just put it, well, I'm gonna go clean it up. Another thing I did, and I wanted to show you that before I went and cleaned it up, is I took a file and went across the top of this to make sure we didn't have any real bad low spots or nothing. You can see the low spots are still dark colored there, and so it looks like it's pretty good. So that'll seal good. I mean, these things can warp over time, and I actually just heated that up. And then last time when we had this apart, I had to heat this part right here to be able to get that, where'd it go? To be able to get that one out. So it wasn't that hard to get out this time because we heated it last time and got it out. But same thing, took a file and went over this. So I'm gonna take this back over here in the sink and clean all this up good, and I'll take my water pick and blow back through those little holes that we looked at there a minute ago. Right down in there, you see those two. We'll blow back through those into the air jet there, blow all the air jet holes out. So we'll get everything blowed out, make sure we ain't got no contaminant in there, and then I'll come back and we'll start to reassemble this thing. All right, I'm back with the top piece. Got this little brass piece, just slid it down in there and got it started in the hole, and took the Allen wrench, ran through this hole on this side, tapped it with a hammer and got it pushed out there where it needs to go. And went ahead and got our new, that's that old brass ring with the rubber seal in it. Got the new one put back in there. And I was looking at these shafts here. This is that new shaft, and to tell you the truth, probably should have just left that old one in there and not even took it out. It didn't have any issues with it, but we was gonna do a rebuild anyway. But I think I'm gonna put that old shaft back in there. Wouldn't have an issue with it, it don't look bad. And this part right here has got a pin, right there. Got a pin that goes through that shaft, it's pinned on there. That's a lot more solid piece than this new one here. So, and that new one looks a little wonky to start with. So I think I'm just gonna put this one back in there. I believe it's better quality of the original. And I put some Vaseline. I got some Vaseline on a little old Q-tip. Put on that rubber seal and on the other side over there. So let's see if we can just slide this. We want to turn this. That's gonna be right there. See if we can get that slide back in there. Yeah, lovely. All right. I hope you got that. I was kind of looking over the camera at what I was doing instead of what you was looking at. So sometimes I get it out of place. So we want to put our little T right here, back where we marked our little T. This thing has to go in at an angle, and then once it gets in there, you can kind of turn that throttle shaft and line up your holes for your screws. There we go. Alright, we got some new screws here. Let's see if we can get those. I don't know if I've got a magnetic. Yeah, that one's magnetic. That'll work. It might work if I can get it right. There you go. Get my screw on the end of my screwdriver. I got a little bigger screwdriver to give them a, that one's too big. That one's too big. I think I got one here somewhere, it's pretty big. It's got a small end, that one there, yeah. Tweaker down there real good. Yep. Go back to the other one. There we go. Probably should put a little Loctite on them. But it's updraft carburetor, so I don't think it's going to suck it up in there or nothing. Yeah, that's a lot tighter than it used to be. See if you can see. Wish it closes off good down in there too, so shine a little light back behind it. Looks pretty good. Let's go ahead and set our throttle screw here. Okay, you're right. Just touching right there. I can give her about half a round maybe. We'll call that good on that. All right, let's flip this over. We need to get our new jet right in here. That's our air idle jet. Don't seem like it's wanting to go straight. Well, one more time. Try it with my little bitty screwdriver. All right, she started that time. All right, I'll call that good. Now let's open up our kit here and get our piece out for our needle jet. So we'll put our little gasket on there. Get that screwed down on there. What did I do with my little putty knife? Because I ain't got a screwdriver really big enough to fit that. That is not right. Compare this with our old one over here. Yeah, it looks the same. Hole's a little smaller, but well, we'll grease up our threads a little bit and see if that helps. Put our gasket back on there and try it again. Seems a little too tight to me. What about that? Went all the way down that time. That's what the deal was with that. All right, got that tightened up. Okay, so here's our new needle jet. We're going to take our venturi and put the little part through it so the big part sets down in there. So that'll fall down in that other one when we get it up there. And let's see what kind of deal this has got. It's come with a little old spring clip here for the just drop that in the floor. All right, so I picked her up out of the floor. We got, so this is gonna set right on there. It's a little different than what that other one was. And then this right here is gonna sit right in there. And then that, we can line that up with that hole and get it right back down there. But then we also have that spring. A lot more stuff on this one. Got our pin over here. I hope you can see that. So we got our needle jet, our spring, and we'll slide that right in its hole there. Then we got this piece that sits down on top of the spring. And then we put our little bar in there. Come on. There we go. Now we'll get the spring back on there. Can't get the needle lined up on this side. There we go. Get in there. Finally, at last. Spring's a little out of whack here. There we go. right back. I need to go get a something to measure this with. Be right back. So what we need on that is a 1/4 inch. So I got a 1/4 bolt. You can see that right there. It's about a 1/4 inch wide. So with the gasket on there, need to slide this under there, and it needs to be at a 1/4 inch. So we're way above that right there with that new setup. So we want to bend those right in here without pressing down on the needles. Let me get that turned right here. Okay, so I need to get a hold of this and bend this down without pushing down on the needle thing there. So if I can do that and get it out here where you can see it at the same time or not. But see what that does on that one. So let me leave you a second. I'm gonna tweak them. I'll get that one on the other side and I'll come back and show you. But we want them straight. If you've got them at an angle where it's a 1/4 inch back here, but more than that on that, and you start going up a hill, you'll run out of gas because you're shutting off too soon and you'll be too low in your float bowl. So we want to get it solid where it's 1/4 inch all the way back through there. I ain't far from it, but yeah, I might can get it right there without turning you off. It's just hard to hold it up here where you're not. I want you to see what's going on, but oh, that one's perfect right there. You see that? Let's check the other side. That one's a little high. I'm gonna call it good right there. All right, now we need to test this. Try to blow through it and see if it'll. So she turns off when it's upside down. So that's sealing off good. So that one is done. Now, bottom part. First order of business is going to be our new power tube, they call it, I think. See which screwdriver I want to use to fit that one. Right there, looks like a good one. I'm gonna do the same thing with this one I did on that other one and put a little Vaseline on them threads there. Seems like everything's a little tight, a little stiff. Big old screwdriver fit in that? Oh yeah. I don't know if that one had ever been changed or not. There we go. And lower than what that other one was. That other one stick up above the top of that. Make sure we got it all the way in there, I guess. Ain't really looking like it. Get back here behind you where I can put a little umph on it. Be back in a second. All right, I'm back. Went over there and found a 3H24 tap and cleaned the threads up on that thing. So I think we're good to go there now. So let's see if we can run that piece down in there. Find my screwdriver here. That feels a lot better. Oh yeah, that's what we needed right there. See how far she is in there? And it's got it up above the top the way the other one was before, so give her a little snug. And we'll go ahead and put our other one in there. And our plug. Put our plug back in there. Seven 16th inch. All right, be back in a second. All right, I think we'll go ahead and set these two halves together, and then we'll put our idle jet in. So this basically just turns up and slides, line up a little venturi there. There we are. See if I can get a screw started in there. All right, we've finished tightening this down. A little snug there. A little snug there. A little snug there. All right, we'll put our idle mixture screw in there. A half and one. And I already set this one to 1. So we got 1 to 1, and we'll go from there. All right, let me find some gaskets for this sediment bowl here. We'll get that thing put back on there, and we'll go put this thing back on the tractor. All right, first things first, let's put our little sediment bowl back together. It's got this little screen. Sits down over that square, so the fuel comes in there, and it's screened before it goes back out to the carburetor. Might not have had that straight there. Sorry about that. All right. Put our little glass bowl on there. A little hanger. Get that centered before we tighten it down. All right, now, a little bolt. Yep, we'll set this like that. And put this little gasket back on there. Sorry about that. Gasket a little snug. Wrong size. All right, that's the ticket. Let's go put that bad boy back on there and see if she'll crank and run. All right, let's see if we can slide this thing back on there. Hook up our throttle linkage there first. Just got to get everything lined up. Now turn the gas on. So far, so good. No leaks. All right, we'll dial her in there and I'll get back with you. All right, guys, we're gonna call it good on this one. Come back next week. We're gonna pick up on that electrical system. We're gonna look at plug gap, point gap, check spark on the plugs, check spark on the points. We may do a resistance test on the coil and kind of talk about how to know if those are good or not. We might even do a farad reading on the condenser. So we're gonna check out all the ignition. Then we want to try to fine tune not only the ignition with the timing, also backing up to the ignition, we want to do firing order and talk about some general rules on that as well. Carburetor, we want to get that tuned in, and we'll look at how to set the air at idle, get it where she's idling good, and then we're going to rev her up, get her up to where your PTO RPM is in the power, and set our fuel, make sure we're good there. And then hopefully we'll get to take this thing for a little test workout and do a little bit of bush hog with it. So I appreciate you watching. Like, subscribe, share, and come back next week, see what we're getting into. Appreciate it, guys. Now, where's our screw at? All right, I found it. Took me a minute. Laying over there by the motorcycle. It's like, why in the world did I put that over there? Well, I sure am making that look complicated.